Hey, welcome to my channel. I am an older woman in my 60s who has what I call like a juxtaposition of views. So all my life, or since the 90s, I've worked in tech, and I pride myself in being a very technical person. I'm quite clever actually, until you give me a remote or give me a bit of IKEA, and then I'm not so good. I like technology, but I also love nature. And my husband asked me to go farming in about 2015, and we lived a very comfortable suburban life, and I agreed. I think he tricked me, but the farming we did is not what I'm going to talk about directly yet, because it was organic berry farming, and my life has changed quite a bit in the last 10 years, and now I live on land, and we have got cows, and I've got cats, and I've got chickens and dogs, and the dogs may bark because come sunset, between sunset and sunrise, we have what we call bark o'clock. And I'm doing this video in the evening, and if you think, when you look at the video and you think, is my camera crooked? I'm going to assure you the camera is straight and my walls are crooked. And the video that I'm doing today, or uploading today, I need to apologize for that as well. I don't normally apologize, but you know, I played around with some camera settings and it's a little bit jerky, but I liked how I presented the story about my cow Rosie, and I think it's quite informational, but I promise next time I will not use that same camera setting. So in the videos where I'm outside and walking around my yard or talking about particular things on our property, I won't be showing my face, simply because you don't need to see my mouth move. You just want to hear my story and look at what I'm looking at. That's my view anyway. So did I say my name? My name is Nina. That's it. In my 60s, 4 cats, 2 dogs, 14 chickens, 1 rooster, 11 cows, 2 steers, 1 bull, and 5 calves. That's what I've got. And my story about Rosie is one that I hope will educate and explain to you the life of having animals, particularly larger ones, and what happens to them when they are unwell. And please remember, when you look at the video, she's going to look very gaunt, and it could be a little bit upsetting for some people to see, but she is on the mend, and by the time you listen to the video, I'm hoping that you'll have a good understanding on how these things evolve, and the time it takes to repair. Without any further ado, I'll try to adjust the volume so it's sort of like when you move into the video outside, it's got some resemblance to this volume. It is my first one, and if you'd like to hang around, you can subscribe, or you can just bookmark the video and come back to it from time to time. And I hope to be putting up videos about 3 times a week on lots of different topics, sometimes technical and sometimes farming and sometimes just life stuff. I've been with my husband for 39 years, so we both think we know how to get relationships right, and if we can share on some advice, I will, if you're interested. Thanks very much, and enjoy the video. I've done my preamble, showed you my face, this is who I am. But I'm out in the paddock, and of course, because I can't flip my screen on my phone, possibly with the app I'm using, thought I'd bring you out and give you an introduction before I show you Rosie. This is a motley lot, okay? Most farms you'll see the beautiful Herefords, or the black ones, the Angus, or the red ones, the red Angus. But we live in an area which is subtropical, okay? And in a subtropical climate, you've got different insects and different grass types and different rain patterns and different soil profiles. And when you want to select an animal to farm, you really do need to have it suited to the actual location. Now, we didn't really know this when we moved here, and we bought a couple of what we call sympathy buyers. Someone on an advertising site said they've got a couple of calves they need to get rid of, and they were still young and needed to be bottle fed. A lot of places will part with their excess stock or stock that perhaps doesn't meet the criteria of a good animal, and people, small farmers or small properties, can get 1 or 2 cows, grow them out, and then slaughter them and have their own meat, because you really do know where your food comes from when you grow it on your own soil. This mixed lot is part South African breed, but we have got in there who's walking away because he's a bit sulky because I'm not feeding him right now. That's Holstein. That's Roger. Now, Roger came to us with Rosie, and they were both very small. We could carry them, we could lift them. We lifted them on the trailer and we lifted them off the trailer, and we spent a lot of time hand feeding, hand raising, and getting to know them. Then we decided we'd have a few more cattle because we've got a lot of grass that grows very quickly in summer. You need to actually manage your property when it comes to grasses. Otherwise, what happens is sometimes other weeds pop in and they can overtake. You know, they can just change the whole profile because it's become very weedy, and it doesn't have the natural animals and fauna and flora and fauna because it's missing. So they're in their own little gate here, in their own little section. Our farm is not fancy. We've got some really old farm gates. We put up some fences here, and we've created fencing around the property so they can go to different paddocks. They have calves. 5 of them have calves. We did lose one. It was quite traumatic. It's just gut-wrenching to lose an animal, particularly when they're pregnant. But this is what happens. And you can see in the front there is our bull who we're breeding from, and we are breeding now Nguni cattle. So we have 5 part Nguni cattle, and 2 or 3 of them will give birth to what we call full Nguni, because they will have been 4 generations back to the Nguni breed. But he is a pure blood, so he's never been anything else but Nguni. This is interesting when I read about these things. So off to my little Rosie. When I mentioned about the grasses, look, looks pretty shitty here, but this is where my cows live, and I want to tell you how close it is to the house, right? There is my house. The cows are very social and they love us. When Rosie got pregnant and had a calf, she was in absolutely brilliant condition. It was summer coming into autumn. The grass was fantastic. Her coat was brilliant and shiny, full udders, and she looked great. She had a little bull calf. His name is Roy. Now, we just give them silly names. Some people name them after politicians and whatever. Some give them a name of beginning of the year. Look, we just called him Roy. We didn't have names. We haven't got all our formal names for some of our animals yet. But we've got Brenda and Betty Lou, Reindeer and Jazzy, and Hiskia, and Dennis and Dorothy. 5 of them aren't named yet. So we have this beautiful cow, and we love Rosie. She was a matriarch of the farm, and that is because she knew us. She knew her way around the farm. So when an animal comes in, there is calmness that can move around the farm. Even though she wasn't very big, she was the boss. About 2 weeks after she had the calf, or maybe a week. So the calf got its colostrum, it got its first feed. She was a good mother. We noticed that she was foaming at the mouth. Okay, we couldn't work out why is she foaming at the mouth. We don't have foot and mouth here. She was dribbling and couldn't eat properly and started to lose a bit of condition. We found some of the other little calves, the naughty calves, thought that the Jersey milk was better than their own milk, and they were trading milk bars. So it's possible that the calf didn't always get a good feed. And we were coming into autumn, so the weather got a little bit cooler. And I'm explaining these little scenarios to you so you can understand how things can happen quickly and how it can turn ugly very fast. And this is why observation is really important in life. Not just with cows, but sometimes you've just got to be aware of what's around you. So I haven't got Roy in here with her because he's a little bit of an independent soul, and I'm not going in there with the others to bring him in. So what happened was she had bitten something which we were unaware of at the time until we had a vet through. But at the same time she was foaming and drooling, so was Roy. Now when you see two animals together like this, you're thinking they've got something similar. What has happened? And she started to lose condition and he was unable to feed. So we separated them, and I was trying to hold her in what we call a race into a confined area and allow him to feed. I thought maybe because the others had been taking the food off her so much that she couldn't produce enough milk. But that wasn't the case. He became very sick, and over a couple of days I thought, this calf is going to die, what do I do? And I rang the vet. It was a Friday afternoon, and he said, well, he was treating a horse 60 or 70 kilometres away and said it would be an after-hours visit. Can he hold out till Monday? And I thought, can he? It was only a couple of days. And I then thought, okay, well, if he was not able to suck properly and she's not able to eat properly, I'm going to give him some food. So I did buy some powdered milk, calf milk, and I tried our cow calf feeder, which is sort of like a firm, hard, rubbery teat, and they suck on it. But he couldn't suck, and his mouth was foaming and drooling because whatever was happening in his mouth, he was unable to actually have the suck reflex working, and I did not want him to lose that suck reflex because he needed to continue sucking from his mother. I know she looks a bit poorly, but she's not badly looked after. She's just recovering from a few traumatic events in winter. Okay, so don't get alarmed and think that, oh, she's going to die because they are actually quite a lean cow. A Jersey is a lean breed, and I will go into another reason why the correct animal for the correct location is incredibly important. Yeah, good on you, Rosie. Throw it on the ground there. She's picking out the molasses. Normally I put the molasses on the top, but I've mixed it in with the grass this time. So come Sunday afternoon, I'm thinking that Sunday midday, I'm thinking that cow is going to die. I've tried to feed him, and I couldn't feed him. Okay, I couldn't get him to suck, and I didn't know how to get something into him, and he was sitting all folded up in the corner at the back here. And the one thing you don't want to do is let your animal get dehydrated and lose the will to live. And it was very gut-wrenching. So we rang the vet, and the vet said, well, if I come out, there's a call-out fee of $1,000. Part of me is saying, we live in an expensive world. And the other one was saying, he doesn't care about animals. And the other one is saying, this is a reality of being a small farmer without and not having vets close by, or not having a vet in-house. Okay, we pay the price for these small, so these big farms would often have an on-call vet. They would probably employ a vet, or they'd have someone who knows more about animals than I do. And I started to look up what was wrong with him. Why would the animal be foaming at the mouth like his mother? She was unable to eat. Now, when a cow eats, they only have bottom teeth, right? And they have it's very hard gum on the top, and they wrap their tongue. If you have a look at how she eats, I don't know if you can see it, but you'll see her tongue goes out. Yeah, it does. And she licks as she's wrapping her mouth around the food. That's the natural action. But the food I've got here is, of course, it's chopped up, premium, steamed and cleaned, and like only the premium here of chaff and lucerne, and it's like $55 a bag. For 25 kilos. It is premium food, and in there her mix as well, she's got what we call Cattle King protein mix. So what she's eating now is quite a high quality meal, which is why she is, those ones are not you look at the condition of them and you look at the condition of her. She needs to be able to eat without being bullied. As I said earlier, she's no longer the matriarch, because when there is weakness in an animal, other animals will become very, very, very terrible when around food. It is survival of the fittest, isn't it, Rosie? Hey? So we had the vet around. He finally came around on Monday afternoon. The little calf was just sitting over in the corner. We actually had to carry him out of I've got a little electric fence here. They believe me, they know it. So I can stand right close here, and they're not going to come out. So that we had to take him over into the shed, hold him while the vet inspected him and could not find anything, but opened his mouth and it was extremely thick with mucus. And he tried to do a swab, but I said to him after my research, I felt he had diphtheria. Okay, so diphtheria is an interesting. It's in the soil. Okay, if you think that getting vaccinated against some of these things is going to help you for the rest of your life, I can tell you what, there is so much E. coli, listeria, leptospirosis, and diphtheria, and E. coli, all these diseases. They're not diseases, they're bacteria in the soil, okay? And the idea in life is have a fit, healthy immune system and don't eat the dirt, okay? And practice good hygiene, okay? Because we live in a very dirty environment here. I mean, it's dirty in the case it was quite close to the house, and our floors get dirty, so I spend a lot of time with disinfectant and bleach on the areas that we are eating from, and we have a dishwasher and everything is cleaned. We are very fastidious about that because this is nature and this is life. So if you want to live in the country and be as rural as this and live like this, you better build up your immune system and get your gut health right, because your gut needs bacteria. So we got the vet around and he said, and he agreed with me. He had, the little calf had diphtheria. And but what was wrong with the mother? Because the mother, it's really only something calves get, and it's in the soil. It happens when an animal is run down, because when an animal is run down, it gets exposed to all of these things in the soil that normally a healthy animal won't. So he had to put her into what we call a race, and have a look at her tongue. That's how they eat. We clamped her head up so she couldn't move, and we tied her head up so she couldn't move. It was uncomfortable. I don't think it was cruel, but we had to inspect her, what was wrong with this animal. So she has, he's opened her mouth, and when you've opened her mouth, you've seen on her mouth, she has a big ulcer on her tongue, and it must have been and it was bleeding. It had been bleeding. It was slowly recovering, but you could see it had been bleeding. Hi Pixie. She was not well. So at that point we thought, okay, is it foot and mouth? What have we got here? Because, but she wasn't showing. Foot and mouth is quite different, because they get sores on their feet and they get swollen lymph nodes, and then they have their mouth is bleeding differently. So he looked at it, he checked all her lymph nodes, we checked her feet, and as you can see, she's not displaying anything like that. And he said, no, this is not foot and mouth. This is actually something that she has probably maybe bitten through a thorn or some wire. We have tried our best to be removing all the old wire in the property, but somewhere maybe, whatever it was, she has had an accident and it has cut her tongue, so she couldn't eat. Now, it probably, I noticed her really a day after she was looking a bit poorly. So really, it had been maybe 5 days since she'd had her mishap, but the condition of the animal changes very quickly. So we had to spend 2 weeks with her in here, and then we had some tetracycline and some metacam. So tetracycline, we had to make the choice of giving the animal antibiotics, and the vet said wait a couple of days. If he lives, then
ring us up and we'll give you some more, and you'll have to give him the injection yourself, or we can come out and do it for a cost of $250 each time you visit. So I thought, shit, I've got to do my first lot of injections on a calf. I had given her a vitamin B injection, and I did put it in the wrong spot, but I learned next time you put them in, you actually take the fold of the animal on their neck and you inject it into their neck, and you massage it through, as opposed to putting it into their rump. It's just a different way of putting in different medication. You learn these things along the way, and I've never done it, and I tell you what, their hide is thick. I bent a needle first. So we had the vet out, and he said when he gave the injection to the young calf, and we just sat him, he just sat in shock. That animal did not move for about 2.5 hours, and I thought, shit, I'm going to come out and he's going to be dead. He's just sitting in the corner, just over there near that dead tree, and I just, what could I do? You know, we gave as much as we could, and then we have to see if the animal has a will to live. But he sort of started to pick up. But the thing was, we had to give him some food because he with diphtheria, it is actually an infection or bacteria, fungus or bacteria in their vocal cords. It's quite painful, and they can't really swallow, which is why he's foaming at the mouth, and it gets quite swollen. The vet did he said, well, we'll try and give him some food and some electrolytes in his gut. But trying to put a tube down a throat of a calf that had already got a swollen throat, I said, if you do that, he can't breathe, and we can't have an animal that's stressed more through this sort of action. So I thought, well, he can't suck and he can't breathe. How can I give him some food? How can I get it down his throat and bypass his swallowing action? Because what they do sometimes is they've got a special thickness tube, and they will pour milk down into the gut so the animal is actually getting the nutrition until they recover. This is sometimes what they do with small calves do. They just give them a boost of colostrum or give them a bit of a starter quite quickly, because the fact he wasn't sucking meant he wasn't even drinking water or able to get anything. So we don't want dehydrated animals. Now, I'm a novice at this. I know jack shit, but I know when an animal doesn't look well. And I thought, well, how am I going to feed this little animal? And so what I'd ended up doing was getting, when you go to the shops and you can buy those squeezy sauce bottles, right? You just twist the lid and you squeeze it and it comes out. Well, I put some quality milk in there, and then the lid kept shutting. So what I did was I put a bit of hair elastic around around where it twists to turn off, and it wouldn't close. So I was able to then open his mouth and then pour it down his throat without him choking, because you don't want to pour it into their windpipe. Oh my God, I'm just thinking, I'm going to kill this poor animal. I'm going to be responsible for its death, but if I don't, I will see its death. So Rosie, we had to feed you, and she stood and she's eating very well now, okay? She's eating like a normal animal. She's been out in the field. But something else happened, okay? He recovered. I went and bought the antibiotics, and I then had to give him the injection. And I want to tell you about an animal who has a will to live. When I'm home alone, because my husband's away, and we have a bit of a slope here, and unbeknown to me at the time, I was very, very sick. I had an undiagnosed case of pneumonia, which I've had for months, but it was totally no symptoms. So I am really finding it hard to breathe, and I'm exhausted. But I've got this cow, and he's down in the paddock there near that tree. I'm telling you, when I went down there to give that little bugger an injection, he had found the will to live. And I thought it was going to be easy. I had to give him 1 tetracycline and 1 Metacam. So the Metacam is sort of like ibuprofen sort of thing. It just is an anti-inflammatory, and it eases the pain and discomfort for an animal that's suffering. That little bugger sitting down there. And I go down there at dusk, and I have got 1 injection in my hand. I'm holding the other one carefully, as you do when you've only got 2 hands and you've got 1 busy. in my mouth, sideways. And that animal, with his will to live, jumped up like one of those calves that you see in one of those rodeo shows, or those shows where they have that cow catching. I don't know what it's called, but I want to tell you that animal found it. And I had to chase that animal up the hill in the dusk, and we have a lot of rocks. See that rock? There's rocks here. I'm thinking, what the hell? This animal wants to live. I'm thinking, what the hell? This animal wants to live. And an animal made its way over to the corner here, and I dropped the. Unfortunately, I dropped the. I didn't just drop it. I thought, let's get some sense here. I'm running in the dark with a needle in my mouth, sideways. But if I fall, it could not end well. So I dropped it on the ground in a place that I was sort of looking where I thought I could find it, and I finally got the calf down, and I had to wrangle it like, if you had seen me, you would have been proud. It was like a rodeo queen. I got that animal down, and I had about a metre between me, my outstretched arm, and the injection and the cow, and I had to drag that animal up the hill. It doesn't look far, but it was for me, because that animal's, I don't know how much he weighed, but it's more than I was used to. And then what I did was, and it wasn't cruel, and it wasn't that hard. And he had run out of puff, and I then was able to just hold him down gently. It was firmly but gently, and talk to him and calm him down a bit and give him the injection. So you got 2 injections. I think one is in the rump and one is in the neck. And then I thought to myself, it's up to you now. I've done as much as I can, because if he can't recover after the second one, the third one's not going to help. The first injection was really about seeing, could he recover? Could he make it through? Hello, little one. There are electrolytes in that water. It's good for cats and cows. Hey, Puss. She's just moving backwards. And so what happened then to you, Rosie? Rosie, because she was in poor condition and we're coming into autumn, what happens is the grass changes, the sweetness in the grass changes, and it starts to grow slower because there's less sunshine. Isn't there, Rosie? And when there's less sunshine and the nights get cooler, what happens to a cow? They need to keep themselves warm by eating. And she was not able to, she's feeding again, but she's not able to keep up with the production. So she ended up getting a bit leaner, and we're giving her some special food, but she dropped condition very quickly. So I brought her in here, and I mean, she is looking better than she was. I thought she was going to die. It was terrible. You're a beautiful cow and you don't know what to do. And then I realised, so I brought her in here and I had a look. And if you look at her neck here, you're going to see it's quite sparse with fur. And this is the thing with these cows here, okay? These cows have yes, it's not exciting. They have fur, hide, around their neck, and she doesn't have a lot of wrinkles. So you can see the fleshy skin under it, okay, like thinning of the fur. And I don't know if you know this, but ticks, this is a ticky area. The others don't have any issues. And I'll take the video up later and show you how beautiful condition they are. Ticks don't have ears or eyes. They work on frequency. And this reminded me of my strawberry farming, that a healthy plant gives out specific frequencies that attract the beneficial wasps and pests to say, hey, come to me and look after me. I'm healthy and I've got the goods for you. Now, a cow will give out a particular frequency and it attracts the ticks, because these cows over here don't have any. They're in beautiful, shiny condition, but this cow, because she wasn't well, attracted the ticks. And you can't see the ticks when they're very, very small. You're normally not going up to your animal and brushing them all over the place. I mean, we brush them sometimes, but she's with the calf. We don't bother them. We know she's looking all right, but her condition dropped so quickly. And then I found out, I saw her neck, and it was full of ticks. And when I brushed her, all of this area up here was absolutely thick with small ticks, to the point where they were running on my hand. That is how many ticks there were. And I thought, holy moly, what do we do? What do we do there, little nougat? Okay. So then they get anemia, right? Because with the bloodsuckers, they are sucking the life out of her. So we had to do something. We don't normally give. We don't like to give lactating animals anything, but she's going to lose her milk. Okay, she's not able to feed, and we have an emergency situation. So we make the decision to give her some tick treatment, and there's different sorts of them, but we gave her the mildest one we thought we could do. I spent some time brushing the ticks off her. I've got a little tick key, which is literally like a little. If you were to get your little hair clip you put in your hair and you just flick it open and close it, it's got a little hook on the end. You just pull it over the tick and the tick comes out. One day I'll show you. And then we realised at that point she's going to go downhill for a while until she gets back up because she's unable to get enough body condition because there's not enough sweetness in the grass. There's not enough grass here for her, and her breed is honestly not appropriate. If I would never have 20 jerseys here because this is not suitable. So Rosie has got some special treatment, haven't you, Rosie? Hey, and I want you to look at her feet, okay? And she is a small animal, right? And this also affects how the grass gets trampled. But so she's still surviving. I did try to check. I checked for milk yesterday, and her front teats were not producing anything. But the back teats were, so you're running on half speed, aren't you? Beautiful cow. And I'm able to look at this cow now and not get as freaked out as I was because I can see on her spine it is not as gaunt as it was. It is going to take us weeks to get her back in condition, and she will not be ready to have another calf for this whole winter. We will not do that. And for next winter, what we might do is separate her. Because we raised her from a little one, she belongs to us. We just do like Rosie, don't we? She's a bossy little thing. But, yeah, you are, aren't you? I mean, cute. So what I also gave her, this is the end of it, but I had some electrolytes which have got and these help. So I went to the vet again, and I've got a sachet. It's sort of like a drip. It's not a drip, but it's sort of like 500 ml you inject into them. So I have to have my husband here. We'll put her into the race and hold her so she can't move. And we will give her the electrolytes via just an injection which we squeeze out of the plastic bag like a drip. This is just a liquid one. And they've got magnesium, potassium, other things that are needed, glucose, just to build her up. But this is very good quality food here, isn't it, Rosie? She's had a very big meal, and we just want her to feel that she can last the day and not be always foraging, because the cows that are not hungry will sit down. They sit down and they digest the food in their gut. It's very important. So I finished talking about my skinny mini, and I want to show you now before I finish, because I was only going to talk for 15 minutes, but I think I needed to sort of explain a better story, or in full, the differences, because she is what we call a Bos Taurus, or she's more of a European breed for the colder climates with beautiful lush grass. But these animals here, Roger's also a Holstein, and he is so much bigger. Like, I lifted that cow, that tall black and white one with the horns. I lifted that animal out of the trailer with my husband. He was just so small. And now this one here is this is our Nguni South African masterpiece. Beautiful. Look at them, fat as. Look, there's just absolutely nothing wrong with their condition. And this is because they are able to take and digest qualities out of the poorer grass, because they come from an arid, dry climate. And we've got here this one here. She's our Jazzy. She's Brahman and possibly Drought Master. These are breeds of animals that can handle the environment that's quite poor. So that's my cows. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've spoken for 30 minutes, much longer than I wanted to. But I just thought it was Rosie the cow. She deserved a story, and I'll come back and talk about her and show you the improvements, because I do I've learned so much because I know nothing, right? I know absolutely nothing. I am surprised at the different breeds. I may not have bought her if I did not know, if I knew more about the grasses. But there they are. This is my bull Hiskia. And he's hanging around Brenda, who's sitting down. Because she's now ready to be joined again. She'll have a calf again. There he goes, sits down because he's hit that fence. But you can see him. Look at the size of him and his condition. This is an animal that is purpose built for the land type, the grass quality. And this is why choices are so important. And it amazes me why people still continue to think that Angus are the king breeds, or they buy the Brahmins, and that's another story. But anyway, there you go. A long video, but thanks for joining me. And this is part of my day. Bye for now.